Welcome once again to Wesley Impact. It's our highlight series as we look back on the year that was. It's that time of year where many people in Australia take a much-needed vacation, or at least a change of scenery. In our next Best of Show for 2012, Lee Ramsey shares with us her last night in Phnom Penh. Her last meal was shared with a 12-year-old girl and her heartfelt plea to help her friend who was going to be sold into slavery. Join me as we revisit Lee Ramsey's heartbreaking holiday encounter and her faith-inspired response. Lee, it's great to have you on the programme.
Thank you for having me here. It's awesome.
Tell us a bit about how that happened.
Well, just very briefly, just taking you back to where it really started was in Noosa. I was on vacation and we'd just been out for dinner and we were getting an ice cream, and this woman and child were having a difficulty, and the little girl was going, "Mummy, Mummy, don't hit me, I love you, I promise you I love you." And I was challenged instantly, do I stop and now help this mum, or do I ignore this problem? And which upset me that I even thought that way. But in that moment of feeling that, I then decided, no, I would help, and I was able to. And after leaving that situation, I remember just bawling because it's not my experience to have been raised that way or anything. And I just walked away going, God, I will help children who can't speak for themselves. And it was such a heartfelt cry that within 3 months, I think I met somebody that started to tell me about the trafficking of children in Thailand and Cambodia, which just gripped my heart because I was still in this place. And I found myself on a plane going over there to see how real it really was. And I found out how real it was.
What was the time gap between that encounter and actually going to Cambodia?
Probably about 5 months.
Okay, so it was the time of searching, you know, should I respond to this?
And the right person coming across my path and bringing awareness to me, because I'd never heard of it before. So I've been living this wonderful life, raising my children, living in a beautiful country, not knowing that these horrors are going on in another world.
And in that sort of Aussie way, we'd say, it's not your business. Let them get on with it.
Yeah, can I just finish what I'm doing right now? It was good here. Yeah.
So that's a part of how She Homes began. What is that?
She is shaping her earth and shaping her eternity.
Yeah, that's a lovely thought, because that combines both the word and deed together, doesn't it?
Absolutely.
The doing of it now.
Yeah.
And what sort of things are you involved in, programmes that you run?
Over there?
Yeah.
Well, we have a high-risk home where we have the girls where they first come to us, and so there's programs within that home that they can do. We have sewing classes. A lot of them have never been to school, so we have a teacher that starts educating them, and given that they're children, we just have a lot of fun things for them to do because they're just kids. So we have bicycles and so forth. But once they become teenagers, then we'll put them through a vocational training course like hairdressing or sewing and the likes of that.
And this lovely band here with all these bands from, these are actually made but out in Cambodia?
Yes, absolutely. Yeah.
And it's got these words on it. It's not okay. What's all that about?
It's not okay. Well, when I'd come back from discovering what I discovered in Cambodia, and after being confronted with this 12-year-old who'd said to me, my friend, 10 tonight, mother, father, sell, you come help. And I went home completely devastated, of course, and telling my friends and family, and many people said, well, this has been going on for years, Lee. And I said, well, and what, so that makes it okay? It's not okay, just because it's been going on for years, and it started from there. And then I went, it's not okay that this happens anywhere in the world, our country.
And now people buy these. I know there's a $10 kind of gift to the organisation, but it does more than that. It raises the issue.
Oh, it does. It raises awareness, because it's not okay that sexual exploitation towards any children.
Let's just hold our conversation for a moment or two, and we'll continue in a moment. And I'd like to introduce our performer for the show this week. Judd Field is a regular on Wesley Impact. As a lead singer of the Melbourne Gospel Choir, Judd travelled to India to see similar work, child rescue campaigns in action. On his return, he began recording a new album inspired by his experiences. Here's Judd and the Melbourne Gospel Choir singing Freedom.
All of my life I search for freedom. Where do I run? Longing for truth. Where is the path to freedom?
I know there's more than this. Open my eyes to see. If I had wings, where would I fly to? I find you? If life was a song, would I hear the sound of freedom here? Whoa. It feels out of reach, but you hold the answer, and I'm holding you. My only hope, lighting the path to finding you. I know there's more, there's so much more. Open my eyes to see. If I had wings, where would I fly to? Could I find you?
Life was a song. I hear the sound.
I hear the sound of freedom Heaven's calling you. Heaven's calling you to sing your song. To sing your song. Sing the song of freedom. Be free. Be free. I believe for your freedom. Free from sickness. Free from bondage. Free from slavery. Freedom from oppression. Freedom from depression. Freedom from fear. Freedom from addiction. Be free. Be free. Be free in Jesus' name. Oh, you're free. You're free. Sing freedom. 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 Be free.
wesleymission.org.au provides a comprehensive look at the work of Wesley Mission. On our website, you'll find information about the wide range of services we provide for you and for your community. You can find all our contact details, published articles, our press releases, and our community research reports. There's more information about Keith Garner and our Christian faith. Visit wesleymission.org.au for more information about all the work of Wesley Mission.
So if you want to know more about the latest album called Freedom, just log on to our website and all the details will be there online all this week. We're back with Lee Ramsey and She Holmes. I wonder, I thought the end of that song was quite penetrating, Be Free. But I wonder if you've ever asked the question, what if you hadn't somehow responded to that call?
I couldn't have lived with myself.
I mean, the good thing is that we ultimately are not responsible for everything that happens or doesn't happen in this world. But perhaps we need to feel the pain of our response as being a God response.
And that's true. I felt the pain. And when I first came back after what I'd seen and heard and that encounter with that 12-year-old who didn't know who I was, why I was there, how much money I did or didn't have, all she knew was, when I showed her a piece of paper, it's telling her not to go with bad men, she said, my friend. She stopped eating food. All she cared about was rescuing her friend. I came home, I for 3 weeks couldn't speak. And a girlfriend of mine said to me, Lee, it's not until you put pressure on yourself that you'll get better. And from that moment on, I went to succumb to the enormity of the problem is to fail the one. And I will not succumb to that problem.
The word rescue is a powerful word. What if somebody said to you, I think you're overemphasising this, they're not really rescuing. What would you say to that?
I would say you might need to go take a look for yourself and just really have a look and see and look into the eyes of one of those children and just ask them.
You feel almost in chains and in a situation where they can't be free.
Yeah. Sexual exploitation of children is inappropriate. It's not okay. And yeah.
Tell us about your own story then. It was Billy Graham who said just because you've been brought up in the church, and you're not a car, isn't just because it's in the garage, that kind of thing. You brought up in the church? Did you come in from outside? Or
Came from outside.
Yeah.
Yeah, I was not raised in a Christian home. I was raised in a very non-Christian home.
Yeah.
And my family was very involved in, seances and Ouija boards, and so I was raised in a spiritually aware home, but just in the wrong angle of it. And so I was 21 when I had my first baby, and we became Christians, myself and my husband, at 21, and got very involved with church life and found what I'd always probably been looking for. But I've been raised in a very, great home, and have a great husband. We've had great church life. I've had great friends, and I never really ever... I know missions is important, but it wasn't where I was at that time. My mission was my children, my husband, and my local community and my church. And
so did faith soon become a constant for you?
Oh, yes. Yes, it did. It didn't take long for it to become a constant. Yeah.
And what would people say when they look at you and they look at what you're doing in your life, and they say something like, "It's all right, saying all of this thing, but I can't do that. I can't be involved in that." What would you say? I can't change the world. I can't make a difference.
I just say, just take one bite at a time. Just do something, whether it's tell somebody or have a cake sale or just do something, because I think most people become overwhelmed with the atrocity of child trafficking, and it is overwhelming. But I always just say, just take a deep breath and stop and, break it down into bite size to see how you can help.
Let me just ask this question. I think this is important. Do you think this work you've been involved in Cambodia has enriched your faith?
Absolutely. It's probably made me have to dig a lot deeper to have the peace of God that surpasses all understanding to cope with what I hear and see. Yes.
So has it taken it, if you like, to a new level? It's given it a new meaning that it couldn't possibly have had without this kind of experience?
Probably, yeah. But I must admit, I live every moment is a given moment, and you do the best with it that you can. And this was a moment brought to me that I didn't turn my back on, and because of that, I do the best that I can, and God's there with you, and I just feel strengthened by Him, and it's like having children, isn't it? You have one child and you love one, and you never can imagine that you could love two or three, but you do. And so by doing this, I've always did church, and I was a pastor's wife, and I raised my family beautifully, and this is like the next gift. And that's taken me to a whole nother level again, loving something that I never saw myself loving. I never saw myself working in a third world country.
And those places that you've talked about has enriched the way you've helped to teach Australians a bit about the world in which they live.
Yeah, yes, just to be aware to, when you see people, look to see, because you only see what you look for.
And people can learn more about this, can support you, or they can help you in all kinds of ways.
They can.
Look, and I want to encourage people to look at the website links and to pick that up and actually get involved wherever they can.
Yeah.
And we want to wish you well. Your work in Brisbane,
Thank you.
That's one of those other cities, isn't it? In Australia?
It's another great city.
Well, we won't argue about that. It's always sunshine in there, that's for sure. But what's really important is that God blesses your work, and particularly this vital work in helping girls to literally be rescued.
Absolutely.
And find freedom. We'll be back right after this.
Visit wesleymission.org.au/impact for more on today's program. There you'll also find selected video clips to download and forward to a friend, information about past episodes and guests, and you'll also have unlimited access to the articles in Wesley Impact magazine. You can also find out more about Keith Garner and the wider work of Wesley Mission. Visit wesleymission.org.au/impact for more on today's program and for all the content available online.
Family breakdown is no respecter of class or country. Closer to Home and Wesley Mission's Brighter Futures programme is an early intervention project designed to help families and single parents to deal with issues that they could never possibly have imagined that end up in crisis. Let's take a look together.
My whole life was pretty much about money and drugs, and on that whole round and round wheel sort of thing. I was pregnant, and I just felt really alone and I needed somebody to talk to. I was walking around the wards and I saw an ad that said, you know, are you worried about having a child? Are you worried about your parenting skills? Are you worried that you won't have enough family support? Basically, that sign was like pretty much made for me because I was really, really concerned that I wouldn't be a good parent.
Wesley's Brighter Future program here in the PN, it's a program that's been set up over a 3-year period to work with families so that before children are taken into child protection, that we have this barrier where we can actually work with the families and hold them back from that. Well, most of the clients within our Brighter Futures programs would be from, I would say, 90% from a domestic violence background. The parents that have drug and alcohol issues, or a combination of both, because generally they will come together, and there'll be some other aspects as well.
I didn't mind whether he would be a male or female. I just wanted a kind, helpful, supportive person. But I think that it's actually been really good for me and my son that it's been a man, because my son's father doesn't have any contact really. I was so outside of the community and outside of society that I didn't really have anyone to talk to. What the Wesley Mission program has taught me is that rather than sit with your bad feelings, you need to get out there and become part of the community.
I think it's a vital part of the Brighter Futures program is to reconnect, and we've been able to, I guess, reconnect her with her family. She actually has a relationship with her mum and her stepdad and her sisters now.
For me, it's been really good to reconnect with my family because I need someone for Oliver.
We've come a long way, but it's still up to her as to how she would like things to happen. I've learnt so much from her, and I'm just so glad to be a part of it.
Welcome back. I want to talk to you, if I can, for a few moments in today's thought from the book of Psalms. And I suppose if there's a title to Psalm 24, it would have to be Everything is His. Everything and everyone belongs to God. Now, that's a big, big statement, but I think it's an important one. We've just heard together in conversation with Lee something of the reality of the fact that there are many parts of the world that are a bit ugly, many parts of our world that are not altogether pleasant, but everything and everyone belongs to God. It has to be one of the underpinning drivers that leads people to make a difference in this world. Now, Psalm 24 is one, if you like, of a trilogy of Psalms written by King David that you find in this particular section, 22, 23 and 24 in the book of Psalms. It begins in praise to God for his unlimited power. Now, sometimes when people talk about his unlimited power, that really is just meant not right, because what they're really saying is God is big. Well, we all know God is big, and we all know that God is able to do things. But I think that very acknowledgement of God's power is not a cause just to brag about his business. It's also a way of actually understanding how he can make a difference to people's lives, that there are no situations beyond his reach. There are no complexities in this world that he cannot bring his grace to bear, even if it be in Cambodia, even if it be in the back and beyond of our lives and when we meet tough situations. Now, God was often thought of as unapproachable, totally and utterly beyond our comprehension, and one who perhaps is to be feared rather than to be loved. Now, when we look at Psalm 24, we find that that's often the case, but not really what the psalm talks about. Who may ascend the hill of the Lord? Who may stand in his holy place? But he or she, of course, who has clean hands and a pure heart, who does not lift up his or her soul to an idol. Well, really what it's saying is that somehow God is approachable. that no one is beyond his reach. God desires and wants our friendship. Therefore, since we're receiving a kingdom that cannot be shaken, let us be thankful and so worship God acceptably with reverence and awe. That's what it tells us in the book of Hebrews, that God welcomes that truth that is there, that he does want our friendship, that he does want us, even if our lives are messed up, to know something of his grace and his warmth. And what we find as the psalm continues in verses 7 through to 10 is the welcome of one who is described here in terms of the King of Glory. Lift up your heads, O you gates, be lifted up, you ancient doors, that the King of Glory may come in. So God is not only willing for us to enter into friendship with us, he wants us to welcome him into our lives, into the life of the world too. Our Christian faith is both personal and it engages with every aspect of life. It's a context for recognizing that everything is his. It's not ours to keep. It's ours to enjoy, yes. It's ours to live in, but it's all his. And all his gives us a new understanding of how compassion can be shown to other people, of how we can reach out in the difficult context of people's lives, and not only recognize that God welcomes us, offers his friendship, but we offer his friendship to other people. Those simple bands that people wear on their arms to recognize that not everything is okay. There may be things in this world that need to be put right. There are justice issues that need to be dealt with. But God is gracious and God is good, and that goodness makes a difference. He's able to do all things. He welcomes us in friendship. He longs for us to welcome him in friendship, but then to reach out to other people. This is where the great combination of word and deed makes sense that we believe in so much at Wesley Mission. It helps us to do things for others, to reach out into situations and circumstances that we could have never thought or felt ourselves able to go to, and to find a ministry within. It's a context for you to recognize. Perhaps you need to say, perhaps this morning or throughout today, everything is his. It might be messed up, it might be difficult, but somehow I can give it back to him and know his grace in my life. So God bless you, and may you find some response to him. If you want to make contact with us, you'll find the details very soon.
If you would like to know more about today's topic, or for more on Keith's message, contact Keith by writing to Wesley Mission, Post Office Box A5555, Sydney South 1235, or email impacttv@wesleymission.org.au.
Thanks for joining us. Lee's story, doesn't it half highlight how we can be challenged and called to action? Confused, Lee returned from that holiday in 2006, asking herself the question, what can I do? Today, her church continues to grow its mission work to help restore the lives of children in Cambodia. Is there a call to action that God has placed in your heart? Until next week, goodbye and God bless you.
There once was a man with scars on his hands, holding him out to the world. There every day by the roadside he lay, just sitting down in the dirt. Oh, dust-covered clothes is not much to see. Says he believes and he prays, asking for change, but things stay the same for him. Holds out his hands anyway. He says, don't walk by this, don't walk by this, don't walk by this time, don't walk by this time. And I learned to look away. I turned my eyes to the ground, not looking back. I couldn't shake the fact that I felt like I let somebody down. Oh, I do? And what could I say? I thought someone else would come his way. Oh, stop, look around. Nobody's gonna help him. Nobody's gonna